to be back. I appreciate everyone who for your well wishes, and in fact some people even reached across to me personally. I do not take it lightly. Thank you so much. And just like Madam Timmy said, in fact, we've missed I think about 3 sessions now. So I'll try to, and we still have let me see. Let's say 3, 4. Okay, we can still wrap up with about 4 sessions. But most importantly, I want to make sure that these sessions are actually this GRC session in particular is actually adding value. It's driving us in the direction that we want, which is of course to gain knowledge and position us into landing a role in cybersecurity. So maybe if I could even ask for the next maybe 5-10 minutes, I would like to know what, especially for those of us who are actively, currently looking for a role. Maybe you, especially if you've probably done some exams, for example, the certified in cybersecurity, which I know quite a number of us have, sat for and passed. Okay, so for such people, if you are actively looking for a role, what are your challenges? Okay, what challenges are you facing? How? Because I want to ensure that this GRC session is actually boosting our confidence, bringing us into awareness of what we should know as far as the GRC domain is concerned. We've covered quite a lot with the foundations, including the frameworks, various frameworks and standards, which I will try to make sure we wrap up today. And then we are still going to look into other areas such as the risk management function, which will be, by God's grace, starting next week. Threat modeling, the non-technical aspect of threat modeling. Then we'll look at the various actual work domains in GRC and how everything we've learned would reflect in these work domains, such as third-party and vendor risk management, data privacy, IT auditing and compliance, business continuity and disaster recovery, incident response, and security awareness and training. Yes, so it's a very small role, but very important. And as a matter of fact, in big organizations, that could be all that you'll be doing, shaping organizational culture with training, curriculum, security awareness, and all those stuffs. And then we'll look at, of course, emerging trends in cybersecurity, and then, things, we'll wrap it up with things we need to do to actually break into cybersecurity GRC. So if anyone wants to maybe share one thing or the other, because I want to ensure we are actually, being positioned, to land a role in cybersecurity GRC. So if anyone wants to share maybe what you're actually experiencing, or maybe any question regarding your transition journey or your upskill journey, your skilling up journey, and stuff like that. Let's give 5 to 10 minutes for that before we go into today's session.
Please don't be shy. This is your chance to ask questions if you are not clear, or if there are some burning questions you have of the sessions you've had before, especially because you have been looking for jobs. So please speak up, please.
Okay, good evening. Maybe I should go.
Well done, Idris. Go on then.
Yeah. Okay. So I think for me it's been a very good journey. I would say I'm not there yet, but I think the steps. By the way, I have been speaking to Shehu on the sideline, so maybe what I'm going to say may not be very new to him. So I have, after passing my certificate in cybersecurity, certified in cybersecurity, I have enrolled in for the CISA program. So I'm currently working on that. I think that maybe by Q1 next year, I should be ready to sit for the exams. I have not actively been looking for work in cybersecurity at the moment, because I thought maybe because of my background that is nowhere in the information systems space. I needed to get a few trainings under my belt before I can start to look for a role. So that's where I am. Hopefully, I'll come back early next year to give the good news that I've passed the exam. So, Sharon, maybe I don't know whether you think I should be looking for a job right now, because really I can't claim to have any experience in that in cybersecurity, to be able to apply for a job. That's what I think. Thank you. And by the way, I think that the training that you've been giving has been very useful. For example, last time you spoke about GDPR. That has opened my eyes quite a lot into some of the things that are inside the GDPR. I haven't, I've heard it, GDPR in bits and pieces, but that was very comprehensive, so that was very useful to me. And the 27001 stuff is a certification that I think I will need along the line, but I'm just walking the ropes and see where it takes me to. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Idris. Okay. Let me make a few comments on that. Well, I just, like you said, I know we've been talking by the side, and for what you just said, I know there are also 1, 2, 3 people or even more in a similar path to what you've said. It's okay. It's okay to feel that you still need to keep pushing. That's fantastic, and I'm also happy that you already have a kind of a certification plan, which to me it's that was exactly my own path too. I decided to go with certifications, like I've said before, because it helps me to, rather than try to be jumping here and there. I take a certification irrespective of whether I'm sitting for the exam or not. I just want to use the study of that certification to gain new knowledge. And the beauty about these certifications is that they will talk about so many things. So, for example, in CISA, for instance, you will learn about the process of IT auditing. You will learn about business continuity and disaster recovery. You learn about core cybersecurity itself. You learn about software development lifecycle. You'll also learn about IT governance, okay? And then everything mold together, under auditing, because CISA is about, IT and IS and cybersecurity audit. So it gives you a peep into so many things under the same umbrella. Okay, same thing with certified in cybersecurity. I'm sure those who have, written cybersecurity or certified in cybersecurity, or who are currently going through the study, are learning, you're learning about access control, segregation of duties. Why do we do it in cybersecurity? You are learning about network security, incident response, and so many things. Okay, rather than trying to figure out where should I go, where should I learn. So, what you've the part, we are all different, we are all unique. Okay, so if you've made that decision, it's that was exactly my own path too. Okay, it all depends on how you've been able to sit down, make a plan of action, and then work out that that plan you have made for yourself. So that's okay. Okay. Any other one? Maybe we could take one more comment before we move ahead.
Hello. Hello.
Go on.
Hello. Yeah.
Oh.
I wanted to ask. Good day, everyone.
I mean,
Hello.
Hello. Good day,
Hello.
everyone.
yes, we're with you. We can
Okay.
hear you.
Yes. Before I joined the Black and Scot community, I had already started doing some trainings in data governance. And I was on that before someone now told me to, like, my mentor just told me to join this group, and that is data governance is quite similar to cybersecurity. And I've so noticed some similarities in that because of the GDPR, because data governance as well, we talk about GDPR, but I don't know, I'm just confused on the career path to choose. If I don't know if data governance is, because like this topic now, we're talking about data governance, governance, compliance, and so I don't know, and risk. I don't know. I'm just really confused. I don't know which to go for. If it's still the same thing, if I can still do data governance and cybersecurity alongside. I don't know. I'm just confused.
So, what led you into data governance?
Yeah, so I was trying to transition into tech, and I have friends who were in data governance, so I just thought it was easier to go into data governance.
Okay.
Mm.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So of course, I data governance is there are so many. I'm not a pro in data governance. However, I know quite a lot as far as data privacy is concerned, because I do data privacy. And of course, you can't talk about data privacy without talking about information security. So just like you said, yes, there are relations between cybersecurity and data governance. what I'm not now, this is my own opinion. I see data governance as a role that it will probably pull you into so many things. Okay, so if you have if you've discovered that you actually love the part of data governance, it's important you kind of probably go online, LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Indeed, try to check out what are the roles available in data governance. Okay, so that because data governance is actually quite different from from cybersecurity. Every now and then you will bump into the use of GDPR, and GDPR itself is called data privacy, and then it will make you bump into information security. But then you won't be doing information security, now will you be doing cybersecurity as a data governance expert. I think what data governance will probably cover will include, like I said, I'm not a pro, will include probably, of course, it will include data privacy, how you organize data, and stuff like that. I'm not really I'm sure, but it still depends on you if you would sit down and because you can actually do it in such a way that you marry the two together, and that could probably lead you into becoming an expert in data privacy. And data privacy in itself, it's a massive domain on its own. Okay, there is an association called IAPP. What's the full meaning of IAPP? Does anybody knows? IAPP, yeah, International Association of Privacy Professionals. Yeah, that's IAPP, International Association of Privacy Professionals. You can check it out. Check out their website. See if you love what you see. Probably that could spur you the more to go into data privacy. And if you'll be doing data privacy, then definitely GRC is what you'll be doing. Okay. So it still all depends on you to, you already know what data governance is. Okay, do you want to check out what cybersecurity aspect of data privacy, data security, and data governance is? And if there is a way you can marry the two, fantastic. But definitely, data privacy would it would make you more to be even more competitive. So what I mean by that, and that's one thing I've learned as far as 21st century work is concerned. Okay, every now and then, because I've learned that lesson. Okay, that's one error a lot of us, especially who spent years in banking. Sorry, I keep on bringing this banking industry issue, is that we stay in that role and then we do not make ourselves competitive. We do not do any other thing. We do MBA, and then what do we do with this MBA? Nothing. Okay. We should rather specialize. So if, for example, I've been doing relationship management, why can't I go into credit risk management? Okay, that makes me more competitive, because that's a niche. That's a niche, okay, that I can specialize, and then someone can recognize my, skills in that area, rather than doing operations, doing, and all those stuff. So back to data governance, data privacy would give you that competitive edge in the area of data governance. So you can do data governance, and at the same time, you can do data privacy. You marry the two together, and man, you are an hot cake. That's what I always do when it comes to my career. I want to make myself competitive. I want to, so maybe something you should think about.
To add to that, I have connected with a group of professionals in data privacy.
Okay.
I will invite her to come and give us a talk about, you know, the various opportunities in data
privacy.
starting the new group
That's
in the UK. So let's leave that out of this conversation now. I don't want it to confuse us. I want us to complete this session, or on the back of this, maybe on a Monday or a Tuesday, if you guys are open to it, I can invite her to, you know, come and give us a 1 hour or even half an hour conversation about data privacy, if that's okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's on with today's session. Okay, so like I've said earlier, we've done quite a bunch. We've laid the foundation. We've explored quite a number of cybersecurity frameworks and regulations and standards. I think under this framework, we've done ISO 27001. We've done PCI DSS, yeah, done PCI DSS. This evening, we'll try to wrap up on Cyber Essentials and the NIST cybersecurity framework, and I think the NIST 853 rather, special publication 853. And then we would still have to talk about GDPR and GDPR SIS controls. And but what we are going to do is that we won't take what I'm going to do is that I'm going to share a bulletin and a case study on GDPR, because next week I want us to start risk management, okay, which will probably take us, you know, 2 sessions. I want us to start risk management and threat modeling in the next session. So today we'll only be considering cyber essentials and the 2 NIST guidelines, while I'll send us a bulletin and case study, fantastic case study on GDPR. One thing about GDPR is that, excuse me. One thing about GDPR is that it's an act, okay? So I think the document is about 88 pages or so, and you don't, because it's an act, it's a regulation. Reading it might be boring, but don't stress yourself. It's an act. As a matter of fact, most organizations would, if not all organizations, would hire a legal partner or probably a law firm to help them comply with GDPR, because it's a massive regulation. Okay, so when you see the document, don't be bored. You can, if you want to read the entire document, yes, you can read, but just ensure that you understand the principles of data privacy. And I think there are about, how many articles are there in GDPR? I can't remember now, but there is a particular article that states the 7 principles of data privacy, or the processing of data and personal data, which includes lawfulness, fairness, and transparency. That is, you should a company who is collecting data, personal data, or an organization or any entity who is collecting personal data should, process that data in accordance with, applicable laws, and all those stuff. Be open, be transparent, and be fair with the way you process data. The second principle talks about purpose limitation. Okay, and what that means is that you should only use the data for what you have, collected it for. Okay, that legitimate purpose you've indicated that you want to use the data for. That is what you should use it for. And then the third is on data minimization. That's straightforward. You should collect data. You should collect only the data that you need. Okay, don't collect data that you don't need, even if it's available, because there are implications to that. Even in cybersecurity, different from that, you will get to know that. That's data minimizing. Then accuracy, of course. Accuracy means that you must ensure that data is kept up to date and stuff like that. Then you have others like storage limitation, integrity and confidentiality, and accountability. So once you understand those 7 principles, okay, and then some other bits and pieces, you are good as far as GDPR is concerned. So you don't have to stress yourself. Okay, by the time you get into a role, and if you are fortunate to be working on data privacy, GDPR compliance, you will learn. I remember when I got into my role, in my previous role, I've not really done much about, actually I've not done anything about data privacy. But in fact, I remember my the first thing I was told to do the week I resumed was to conduct a DPIA, a data processing impact assessment, which I've not done before. But come on, this GRC, okay, you can always transfer your experience in one area to another, okay, and I actually got it done despite the fact that I've not done it before. So that's the way we roll in GRC. All right. So let's move on with cyber essentials. So cyber essentials, just like we've learned about PCI DSS, we've learned about ISO 27001. I think I've said it here before. There are so many cybersecurity standards and frameworks, and if you look at most job ads, you will see some of them, recurring every now and then. You see ISO 27001. Because this is UK, you will see cyber essentials because this is actually backed by the UK government. You will see PCI DSS if it's an organization that that has anything to do with card processing, card data processing and stuff like that. Okay, every now and then you'll see NIST, whether it's the NIST, especially in this cybersecurity framework. The truth is, you might also see some unique cybersecurity standards and frameworks that are peculiar to certain industries. So, for example, you're applying for a role in the aviation sector. The aviation sector, they have their own cybersecurity standard that has been developed, for the aviation industry, especially for airlines. Okay, I'm very, very sure, I've not come across it, but I'm very, very sure possibly maritime will have their own too. Probably there are some maritime professionals on the call. I'm very, very sure most likely maritime will have their own too. The truth of the matter is, these cybersecurity standards, as a matter of fact, from what you've seen so far, they are very, very similar, okay, to each other, to one another. They are very, very similar, okay. Once you have experience in one or two, okay, you can always bring that experience into. I remember I interviewed for a role in an aviation industry, and one of the things that I saw in the job ad was, this particular standard. I can't recall. I'm very sure if I check my notes, I'll say it, or if I go online, I'll say it. You know, very popular. As a matter of fact, it's a standard every airline must comply with. It's one of the standards that the regulator for the airline industry makes it compulsory for them to comply with. So what I did was to, dive into the study of that standard. So what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is that once you have experience working with one or two of these standards, okay, you can always transfer, that experience, okay, into whatever standard, okay, you are told to work with, or you are interviewing for a role, and you see a standard that you've not that's peculiar probably to that industry, just as it was for me. You don't have to fret. All you just need to do is to, go study that standard, So the Cyber Essentials is a cybersecurity certification scheme. It's actually backed by the UK government. It's been administered by excuse me. It's been administered by
ISME.
ISME. ISME, IASME, information assurance for small and medium enterprises. Yeah, ISME. That's the agency, or that's the organization in charge of the certification, and it's only peculiar to the UK because, just like I said, it was introduced by, the UK government under, I think, NSCSC, that's the National Cyber Security Center. Okay, and of course, being the cybersecurity standard, it helps to mitigate, cybersecurity risk, information risk, and thereby protect your organizations. Now, there are 5 key areas, control areas in Cyber Essentials. Okay. There are 5 key areas in Cyber Essentials. I call them control areas. So you have the secure firewall and gateway. You have the secure configuration. You have, a section that covers user access control, malware protection, and patch management. These are the 5 areas that, and under these control areas, it dovetails into, control tasks or control functions that you need to implement, okay, within your organization, and ensure you are compliant with them before you can actually be said to be compliant with, before you can be certified as far as the cyber essentials is concerned. And there are 2 levels to the certification. You have the cyber essentials and then the cyber essentials plus. Okay. The cyber essentials plus, in the cyber essentials, starting with the cyber essentials, is actually just don't let me say just, it's actually a self-assessment process whereby you, as an organization, you can self-assess yourself. What that means is that you can take the cyber essentials standard and implement it in your organization, and then use a checklist, okay, to ensure you have complied. Of course, that can be done, by, internally, and then you can also employ external auditor, so to speak, or an external consultant to help you with that assessment. What that means is that everything is within your control. Okay, so even where it involves an external consultant, okay, because Cyber Essentials will not eventually lead to a certification unless you are going for the Cyber Essentials Plus. That is where the external consultant is not just coming to conduct a checklist. It's going to be a rigorous assessment where there would be technical testing your controls to ensure that your controls are actually effective across the five control areas we've talked about. Your firewalls and other gateway, secure configuration, your access control, your protection against malware, and then your patch management. Activities. So that's essentially the two stages. And before you can, because I've not actually worked with Cyber Essentials before, but it's a certification I'm actually familiar with. I know that before you can be certified, before you can move to the Cyber Essentials Plus, you must have self-assessed first, okay, before you can actually move on to the Cyber Essentials Plus, where you can go through that rigorous process, and then if you've successfully implemented those various controls, IASME can then certify you to be in compliance with Cyber Essentials. Okay, and what are the benefits to Cyber Essentials? Of course, just like it is for ISO 27001 and PCI DSS, it's a marketing tool. Okay, an organization can use a certification against Cyber Essentials as a marketing tool, as a competitive hedge. Okay, to reassure customers and partners that you are actually taking information security serious. Of course, that would attract that can attract new businesses to you. And then there are also, if not in all instances, before you can take up some government contracts, because this is a UK government-backed certification, you have to you must have been certified against Cyber Essential, just like in the US too. There are a number of NIST guidelines and there are a number of NIST guidelines, including some regulations like FISMA, that before you can take contracts, especially if you are dealing with DoD, that's the Department of Defense. Okay, you have to comply with those government-backed cybersecurity standards. Madam Tim is a guru in Cyber Essentials.
Yeah. We are working on it.
All right.
You are all absolutely spot on. So well done.
All right. Thank you. Don't forget your promise, oh.
I won't. I need to go back to them, Seth. Yeah, I won't.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. That's all about. I had to try and reduce this because I wanted it to be brief so that we can finish in time. This is already that's okay. So let's move on. Let's talk about the NIST special publication, which is popularly called NIST 800 500. Now, the NIST is an agency under the U.S. government, United States of America, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. I think currently it's under the Department of Commerce. Yeah, I think it was under the Department of under another department, if I can't remember the name, but currently it's under the Department of Commerce. So NIST is an agency that comes up with various kinds of guidelines, cybersecurity guidelines. In fact, I can't count the number. As a matter of fact, personally, I have let me see if I can open it on I have a note where whenever I come across a NIST guideline, I used to write it down because it covers, just like ISO, it covers various aspects of cybersecurity. Yes. So I have here about how many NIST? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And there are so many others. In fact, under the same note, I used to write ISO too that I come across. So, for example, we only talked about ISO 27001, and under ISO 27001, of course, I recall that I mentioned that ISO 27000 is a family in which 27001, which seems to be the heir to the throne. Okay, I think that's just that's just the narration. ISO 27000 is a family, where ISO 27001 is the heir to the throne. There are several other children in ISO 27000, just like I mentioned, I showed you that day. We have ISO 27002, ISO 27032, ISO 27701, and various like that. Okay, so there are other ISOs too that are related to cybersecurity. So, for example, in my notes here, I see ISO 19790, which is focused on crypto security requirements for cryptographic modules. Okay, I see this ISO 28000. Okay, which is focused on specification for security management systems for supply chain. Okay, this is okay, yeah. So there are so many ISOs. So the same thing with NIST. So under NIST, you have we are talking about ISO NIST 853 here. In my notes, I can see NIST 888, which talks about guidelines for media sanitization. Okay, that's storage media. Okay, you have NIST 830, which talks about guide to conducting risk assessments. Okay, just like ISO 27005. Okay, or ISO 31000. ISO 27005 is about information security risk assessment, whereas ISO 31000 is about the broader risk management process, which we are going to be talking about the two when we get to the risk management process. So you have so many NIST. I can see NIST 892, which talks about guide to computer security log management. Okay, when it comes to logging and monitoring. So there are several NIST guidelines. Okay, published by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. That's the NIST. Okay, and we are only going to be focusing on two because these two are kind of popular. They focus on general cybersecurity. These others are picking some sub aspects of cybersecurity, but these two majorly covers general aspects of cybersecurity, just like ISO 27001. So the NIST 853 special publication 853 is actually called Security and Privacy Controls for Information Systems and Organizations, and it's a comprehensive guideline for securing information systems and data. I've talked about NIST before now, that it's a non-regulatory agency within the U.S. Department of Commerce. Non-regulatory because it does not regulate anybody. Its job is just to provide best practices, okay, for cybersecurity and information security for government departments and agencies and ministries. Okay. However, these publications have also or can also be adopted by the sector. Okay. That's just what that means. It doesn't actually regulate. Its job is just to produce and publish this guidelines on cybersecurity and information security. NIST is responsible for developing and promoting standards and guidelines to enhance the nation's cybersecurity and technological infrastructure. Okay, so this is a summary of the structure for the NIST 853. Okay, you can see it's very, very broad. Access control, awareness and training, audit and accountability, up to system. I also need to say that every now and then, just like we saw it in ISO 27001 and PCI DSS, there are updates. Okay, there are versions, there are updates to these various guidelines and standard to reflect the changing times, to reflect new risks that have emerged, that have not been captured, that possibly didn't exist as at the time when it was first published. I think for NIST 853, I think what we have currently is revision 5. So you will see NIST SP means special publication, NIST SP 853, revision 1, revision 2. I think we have revision 5. I'm not sure whether it's still in draft or whether it has been published, but I'm very sure it's now up to it's either we are still using 4, whether 4 is still active and 5 is still in draft, or 5 has also been published. So this family of controls is actually divided into three areas. You have your technical controls, operational controls, and management controls. I think this follows the pattern we have in the revised version, in the new version for ISO 27001, where I showed you that the previous 14 sections in ISO 27002, which focuses on the controls, the control guidelines for ISO 27002 2013 version, has now been reorganized into just 4 sections. Okay, where you have organizational controls, people controls, physical controls, and technological controls. I think that bodes well with the way NIST has also, organized this family of controls into, we have the technical controls, okay. You have the operational controls, and then you have the management controls. You should also note that, by the way, I keep promising that I'm going to send over the documents to all these frameworks. I'm going to do that immediately after this session tonight, including the ones we are doing today. I'm going to send the original standards and publications themselves, so that if we want to go through them, of course, it would be nice to go through them. Especially the next one we'll be going to, which is we'll be going through, which is NIST Cybersecurity Framework. I'll encourage every one of us to read the entire document of NIST Cybersecurity Framework. It helps us to, further have a grasp and understanding of information security risk and the approach we can use to manage this information security risk. So, and you need to also know that, of course, that was what I was talking about, the document itself, that each of this family of controls further dovetails into, some specific controls. For example, in access control, you have, specific controls you need to implement as far as, access control is concerned. Same thing for, awareness and training and every other family of controllers. So you will see things like AC1, AC2, AC3, and each of these has its own, name and then description, and then how you would implement it in your information systems or in your organization. Okay. Now, because the NIST SP 853 is a very, very broad guideline. Okay, remember, it's a guideline. It's not a standard. Okay. In previous sessions, we've tried to distinguish between what a standard is, what a framework is, what a guideline is. Okay. It's a guideline. Okay. It's like a framework. Okay. It's not a standard. For a standard, you must implement every aspect of the standard before it can be said that you are complying against the standard. But for a guideline, okay, what the best approach is to use these controls and then tailor it into your own environment. Okay, so that's why if you want to implement NIST 853, I doubt if any organization, because of the broadness of the guideline, can implement every of those controls. There will be instances where you will run into implementation issues, probably based on your platform, stuff like probably your operating system, the way your information systems have been designed and all that. That's why it's called a guideline, because its intent is that you can adopt these controls, certain aspect of it, and then implement it, tailor it into your system, tailor it for your organization, and then implement. Okay, so these controls are selected and implemented based on organizational assessment of risk, balancing the controls, as based on, the assessment of your risk, and then tailoring, those controls to match specific requirements, and then, of course, continuous monitoring is needed to assess the effectiveness of what you've implemented, just as it is for every other standard or guideline or framework in cybersecurity. So, like I said, it's a guideline. Okay. By the time you see the document, you will see that it's a very, very broad document, I'll also try to send a checklist document that you can use to see how these controls can be mapped into, can be tailored into an organization. And you will see that it is very, very massive. And that the best approach is that you use it as, a guideline, okay, and then use the controls based on your initial risk assessment, which I've always been stressing, okay? And then you can then tailor the controls into your organization. Okay. Any questions so far?
Any questions?
All right.
Let's go on.
In the absence of none, let's move on to the NIST cybersecurity. The NIST cybersecurity framework. Before you ask, at the end of this, I will try and explain the difference between the NIST 853 guideline and the NIST cybersecurity framework. Now, just like it is for NIST 853, NIST cybersecurity framework is also a guideline. All NIST publications are guidelines. I think the actual name is Framework for Improving Critical Infrastructure Cybersecurity. Of course, it was developed in response to growing cybersecurity threats, and is designed to be flexible and adaptable to various industries. Now, let's look into the structure, which is, what is important at this level, because what you want to know at this level is to first gain an understanding of, okay, what does the structure looks like, okay? What are the controls it is focusing on, and then, it may help you to start picturing, okay, how do you go about implementing these controls? So, the NIST cybersecurity framework, well, you can call it a condensed version of NIST 800-500, but it's not really condensed, but of course, you can call it a condensed version because it puts more emphasis on risk management, okay? So it's divided into 5 core functions, okay? Please hold on. Yeah, so the NIST cybersecurity framework is at the center, at the core, divided into 4 areas: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Just by looking at that, I believe that could start giving you some ideas about the approach of the NIST cybersecurity framework, its approach into risk management, okay? So, for example, okay, I think it's more, okay, yeah. So, for example, let's talk about the first function, which is identify, okay? Recall that when you are implementing a cybersecurity program for your organization, one of the things you'll be doing, okay, at the beginning is to conduct an inventory, okay, because you cannot protect what you have not identified. I think that just sums it up, okay? You can't secure what you have not identified it is what you have identified that you own okay? It's in your space that you can now start to plan to protect. So that's why identify is the first thing you do, okay, in your, any information security program. So the identify function will involve, activities such as, your inventory of assets, which is, asset management, asset inventory. Then we'll, of course, conduct a risk assessment, okay? And then those risk assessments will help you identify some risks, okay? Which is what you will now develop controls, or propose controls that you would implement to mitigate the risk, okay? So after identification, what you want to do next is to now start to secure the assets you have identified, okay? It has been, of course, it's an established fact that the foundation of any information security program is, asset management. You need to identify your assets, okay? After identifying your assets, you need to now try to understand what threats, okay, are facing these assets, okay? What vulnerabilities exist within your environment, okay? Before you can go ahead to start to, protect these various assets. And that's why, protect is the next function. So you want to start to implement safeguards to protect against the threats that you've identified in your identification stage when you were conducting your risk assessment. So activities here, will include things like access control, data encryption, okay, and as you can see in the slide, the other what do we call it? We call them cybersecurity activities. Okay, so you have your identity management and access control, awareness and training, your data security, data encryption, and other protection activities. Having implemented your controls, that you think would effectively mitigate the risks and the threats and the vulnerabilities in your information systems, in your environment, in your physical environment, and all that, as far as your information security program is concerned. The next thing is that you want to be able to, detect any intrusion activity. You want to be able to detect any anomaly, within your environment. And that brings us to the detect function, okay? So you want to develop systems that are able to, store the logs for important activities like unauthorized access, like failed user logins, because these are logs that you can investigate further to determine whether it's a malicious action or it is not. Okay, so that's what you'll be doing under the detect function. Okay, anomalies and events, security continuous monitoring, and then detection process. And you haven't develop systems to help you detect, of course. Why do you want to detect? The reason why you want to be able to detect anomalous behavior is so that it can help you with a response. Okay, and that leads us to the response. Excuse me, please. Yeah, and that brings us to the response function, respond, okay, where you would initiate a response plan, okay. When it comes to incident response, one thing you should know, which is very, very vital when it comes to incident response, is that you don't start planning your response when there is a security incident. No, okay. You must have laid down a structure, okay, a process, a procedure for responding to security incidents, okay. So this is what you do under the respond function. You do your response planning. How do you communicate if there is a response? If there is a security incident, okay, it should be such that any member of your team, any staff of your organization should be able to report, any suspicious activity or any incident whatsoever. Every member of staff should be able to report. So here you implement those reporting structures. Okay, how do you report? Okay, do you raise a ticket? Do you send a mail? And all those stuffs. Okay, so these are the things you do in the response stage. You ensure that there are clear lines of communication. Who do you respond to? How do you submit the ticket? Where does it go? Okay, when it gets there, what will be done? Okay, of course, what will be done is that the responsible officer should be able to decide, should be able to categorize that incident. Okay, is this actually an incident? Okay, so further investigations will be conducted, and the appropriate response will be made. If it's an actual incident, okay, that leads to some further activities depending on the nature of those of that incident or the activity that has been reported. Okay, so this is all what you do in the response stage, and then the recover stage. Because if it's actually an incident, okay, a security incident, what do you want to do after responding? You want to recover. Okay, you want to first mitigate the incident, okay, reduce the impact, stop, for example, if it's a malware intrusion, okay, you want to possibly, if it's possible for you to isolate the network or the system, you want to do that in order to stop, the spread of the malware, and then you want to ensure that this incident is not able to disrupt business. That's where business continuity comes in under the, and then you want to ensure that you are able to recover, the system, the information system, the data, and all that has been infected, if it were, for example, a malware infection or not. Okay. Yeah. So, excuse me. Okay. Yeah. So this forms the structure, the core structure of the NIST cybersecurity framework. The document is a very, very interesting one. Let me excuse me. Let me see if I can bring it up. Okay. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to drop all the documents for all the standards we have gone through. I'm going to drop them today, but this is for the NIST cybersecurity framework. And join us. It's just a 55-page document, and I would wish that we all go through this document, especially the introductory aspect, because it talks a lot about managing cybersecurity risks. The reason why this publication was done, why it was published, and all that. And it has some very, very rich contents that will help us understand cybersecurity the more. So I said I was going to kind of distinguish between so that you can, because the two of them are actually, cybersecurity guidelines. So what's the difference? As you can see, the NIST 800 SP NIST SP 853 was the first publication that was made before NIST cybersecurity framework, and it was published to help U.S. government agencies to, when it comes to cybersecurity for their information system, and it covers every aspect, of cybersecurity. Okay, just like we've seen from, the family of controls. However, because of its size, okay, the NIST cybersecurity framework was introduced, okay? And as you can see, it is more of a risk management approach. Reason is that the controls, if you go into that document, you'll see that the controls that has been highlighted in NIST 800-553 are the guidelines that has been implemented into the NIST cybersecurity framework. So what NIST cybersecurity framework does for you is to help you look at your organization from the standpoint of risk management. Okay, that's why it's it has broken rather than the many family of controls in it, SP 800-503, it has kind of organized this into just 5 functions, okay? And then you can look at your organization from the standpoint of identifying your assets, okay, protecting them, okay, ensuring you have systems in place to be able to detect anomalous activity, and then to be able to respond if there is a need to respond to, any malicious or disruptive, because not all incidents are malicious. Some might be of course, all incidents are disruptive in nature if they are real security incidents, okay? But some could be human error. Excuse me. Some could be human error. Some could be natural disasters, okay, that can impact on, security and, of course, availability, okay? So we want to develop processes that will help you to respond to these incidents, and then you want to be able to recover from this incident. So I want to encourage us, let's go through this document, especially the introductory part, just before you get to the framework core. But best if you can go through the entire document. I'm very, very sure you will not regret it. Okay, so like I said, I want us to wrap it up here today. I'm going to send a bulletin on GDPR and a case study. I want us to do it so that before we move into the risk management function and threat modeling, we can, discuss it together. It's a very, very fantastic case study, by the way. So any question?
Yes, I do have one. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I just want to ask, you showed us, I'm sure maybe I'm the framework, the NIST framework that you just showed us about identifying and responding and protecting and all that. Would that be done by a team or by an individual?
Hey, well, I'm trying to maybe I should answer the question by posing a question to you. So in an organization, when it comes to cybersecurity risk management, okay, will it be done by someone or a team?
Yeah, it will be done by a team. I just wanted to understand because I kind of have an idea of, for example, in the response stage,
Okay.
where you were talking about responding, accessing.
All right. I think I get.
Who is accountable and none of that.
I think I get you. I think I kind of get you. So let me answer it this way. So
Thank you.
we are discussing these various standards and framework from a GRC perspective. And so what that means is that as a GRC analyst, okay, you would most likely be at the center of events when it comes to implementing your cybersecurity program in your organization, when it comes to conducting risk assessment, developing policy documents, and all that. At the end of the day, when these controls are being implemented, of course, you are not the one that will most likely implement these controls. These controls will probably have to go to another department, network security. You talked about incident response. When it comes to the actual work of responding to an incident, probably malware engineering or malware reversing, or and stuff like that. As a GRC analyst, most likely you won't be the one to do that. That will be the work of those in security engineering. Sure, you understand. So when talking about this, we are not saying that you are, or it's going to be just one person or one team or one unit that will be doing it. What I just showed you now is a representative of what can be a security program, a cybersecurity program for an organization, because an organization can actually take this framework and use it to manage their information security risk. Okay, so it will involve so many things, from the governance aspect of it to risk management to actual implementation of these controls, data encryption, doing backups, disaster recovery, if it involves developing alternative sites for your organization, if it involves moving to the cloud, if it involves cloud DevOps and all those stuff. So definitely it's going to involve, it's going to cut across so many units and departments depending on the structure of your IT or the structure of your InfoSec organization or the structure of your organization. Do I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, Sunday Idowu, is your hands up?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Sheung, for
Thank you.
Facilitating this. We really appreciate you. In fact, the table you presented towards the end of today's lecture, but I really love it. Simplify the whole thing, and one can really see it at a glance. But of recent, I noticed a NIST They are. I think the document is currently being it's being worked on. They are adding another pillar to it, which is governance, governance or something to the pillars. I don't know if you are aware of that.
Yeah. I think I said that I mentioned the fact that these documents are, every now and then, especially NIST, unlike ISO 27001, and that could take a number of years. NIST is always in a constant flow of change, and so the last that I knew was revision 5, which as I then was even in draft. So what you are saying might not be far from the truth, because as I then it was a draft. That was probably like a month ago when I saw the document. It was a draft. I don't know now whether it has been published. So it's possible. So are you saying that governance is now a function or a category
of the pillars? We have we in the document we presented, we have 5. It stopped at recovery. So
yeah,
governance is now the 6th one that will revolve
okay, all right, okay,
the pillars.
Okay. So it means that governance has been moved from a category under identify to being a unique
all the functions.
Identify.
All right. Okay. I'll make sure I update the document before I send them over. So I'll make sure I confirm whether it had been published or it's still in draft before I send them over.
That's just the testimony that cybersecurity is constantly evolving. Constantly.
Absolutely.
Initially, it was under the identify function in NIST. Now it's standing on its own because governance is growing and growing and growing. So, guys, there's no limit to what options you can take. We will keep bringing the opportunities to you. And thank you, Sunday, for that contribution.
All right. Any other question?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Firstly, I just want to say thank you for a very informative session. It was really interesting. Thank you very much. I just wanted to add something. It was something I noticed today, actually. It was really weird. At work, we got an email from the governance department, and apparently there was a spam email that went out to some people within the organization requesting for their work phone numbers. And the email was structured in such a way that it came from the CEO. But I think someone was smart enough to check which email address did it actually come from. And they realized it wasn't the CEO's email address. So in the area where you said, in the response area, when you said that a response plan has to already be in place before an event occurs, it just made me click onto that okay, that obviously was already set in place and everything just kicked into motion. So basically this is just to reiterate what you said earlier about the response in the cybersecurity framework, kind of. That's all. And I think one of the information that was passed across was that email could be put in the junk folder, and then the IT department were going to work on removing the threat, basically.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. I think that's practical enough. What you just expressed is I think that's called spear phishing, if I still recall very well.
Yeah, it was like a phishing email.
All this cybersecurity terminologies.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's spear phishing, where an email ostensibly from a known or trusted sender,
Yeah.
is sent to a targeted number of people. So, for example, in my own organization, we have this tool on Outlook email. We call it the fish button. Okay. So when you receive a mail and it looks suspicious, and or you are able to even determine that it's actually a phishing email, you send it over to the InfoSec team simply by pressing that fish button. So press the fish button. It says you want to report this email, okay, and then it goes to. Of course, you can do every other form of you what you said is clearly practical, in as far as what we are saying is concerned. So when it comes to your response planning, you don't the benefit of response planning is that it makes you to respond to an incident in a planned manner. And what that does for you is that number one, you are able to recover faster, and then number two, you are able to limit the impact of the incident. Okay, that's the reason why it's important you have a response plan. Incident and response planning, as a matter of fact, can be a domain in its own. In big organizations, there are folks who work in the area of incident and response, because they are the technical guys who would actually be dealing with this, analyzing these phishing emails. What have they been able to do? Those who have responded to such an email, are they able to limit, for example, you can imagine if that email actually contained an attachment where a malware has been installed in it, so that once you click, it activates the malware, and then malware starts, to deploy whatever exploit that has been programmed in to do. So it's the incident and response guys, that will come in to limit the flow, to analyze this malware, and know where it has got it to within the network, and then try to stop it in its tracks. Okay. Incident response planning will also help you with things like implementing systems such as your intrusion detection systems, or your intrusion prevention systems, your logging and monitoring systems, your SIEMs, and all those stuffs like that. Yeah, thank you for that contribution. Thank you. Any other question or contribution?
Okay, yeah, just a contribution to the scenario the other lady mentioned now. I think the response plan is important, having it, and also testing it is also play a major role as well.
Absolutely.
Not that we are bringing down the whole system to test it. Most organizations, they do what we call a tabletop exercise, where they run through likely scenario. Only when you are hearing that something happened in a particular organization, you can also try and look at your own organization that, okay, if it happens, it's not that it something that will not happen. It's just a question of time. So if it happens, what do we do? So that everybody will have an idea of the next thing to do when such occur within the environment. So having a response plan in this framework is good, but how often do we test it to confirm that all the controls, they are working as expected? So that's just a contribution as well. That it's good to have the response plan. Then also testing this is also very important. Most time people gather together at a round table called a tabletop exercise. People from various units, stakeholders, they meet together, they test those controls, they discuss around it, looking for the gap and see how they can block it. So that when such happens, by default, the system can respond appropriately. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for that contribution. When it comes to testing, you are very much on point. Apart from incident response planning, testing cuts across virtually every aspect of the information security program. As a matter of fact, even your audit, okay, whenever you conduct an audit, whether it's internal, whether it's external, it involves one form of testing. But when it comes to tabletop exercises, of course, it has to do with stuff like your incident response, your business continuity, and disaster recovery and stuff like that. And just like I said, why do you need to test? To ensure that what you have in plan can actually work. And there are different kinds of testing. Tabletop exercise is one and is the simplest, because, folks just come together. And these are stuff you'll be doing as a GRC analyst, because most likely you'll be the one facilitating this test. Tests are a component of your compliance, okay? In ISO 27001, for example, you must be able to show to the auditor that you are testing your business continuity plans, okay? And which must be done, as far as ISO 27000 is concerned, at least once in a year. That's the minimum, okay? At least once in a year. For me, it's even poor to do it once in a year. There are organizations who do it every quarter. There are those who do it twice in a year, because you want to be ready for any major incident, especially whether it's a natural disaster, or a major security incident, okay? So you have tabletop exercise, you have simulations where you simulate. For example, I'm very sure virtually every one of us will have witnessed a fire drill. Okay, fire drill is a kind of test. What are we doing in fire drill? We want to test our response to a fire incident, okay, which of course, is actually an incident that can impact availability. And by the way, it can also impact your information security setup, okay? So that's just a very, very good example of testing, okay? You conduct fire drills. There are, you have simulation tests. You also have live test, which is by far, the most expensive, because it's a live test. It's going to actually disrupt the environment. It's definitely going to cost resources, money and stuff like that. So, testing is very, very important when it comes to incident response, your business continuity plans, your disaster recovery plans, because you want to ensure that your plans that you've documented, okay, will it actually work? Your communications plan, okay, how do you escalate? Okay, how do you communicate? Okay, how do you move to your recovery site or your alternate site? Okay, whether it's a hot site or a cold site or a warm site. Okay, those are another considerations when you are dealing with business continuity and disaster recovery. And as a GRC analyst, you're in the middle of all this. Coordinating these activities. Documenting. For example, after every tabletop exercise, okay, after any kind of test for that matter, whether it's tabletop exercise, whether it's simulation, whether it's walkthrough, whether it's a live test, there is an aspect of your report that you will do what is called lessons learned. Okay, so what lessons have you learned? Okay, were you able to, did this test, this plan, did it work? Okay, if certain aspects of it did not work, why? Okay, so you need to document those things so that you can go back into your plan, and make changes. Okay, these are stuff you will be doing as a GRC analyst, because you're in the middle of all this coordinating, all the various parts of IT, operations, and everybody involved within your your organization. Thank you, Mr. Sonny. Okay. In the absence of any other question, I'll hand over back to Madam Timmy.
I have a
Oh,
question,
wow.
sir.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, someone is still asking. Jimmy wants to ask a question.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, is there any role of playbooks in GRC? Because I learned in incidents response situations, they use playbooks along with the SIM tools. So I want to know if playbook also has a role to play in GRC.
When you say play, yeah, I know what playbooks are. It's not as if, you see, these tests, of course, they are aspects of your incident response. They are aspects of your business continuity. Okay. And of course, playbook has a role. So, for example, in an organization I've worked for, we have this document where we highlight, we call it incident scenarios. Okay. So it's very similar to playbook, or very similar to playbook. Call them incident scenarios, where we just kind of imagine every kind of thing that could happen. Okay. Every kind of thing that could happen, and then we'll try to, we have columns for what could happen, why it could happen, and what it could be the impact, and what's going to be our playbook run. Okay, how are we going to respond? Just kind of have a summary of what we need to do, okay, to have playbook. So definitely it does apply, okay, to incident response, your business continuity, your disaster recovery. It all depends on your organization, the folks running your whether it's your infosec team or your IT team, and how you guys have decided to develop your plans, and the exact things you've decided to do, and most importantly, how mature, okay, is your processes, or how mature are because all these things we are saying, it all depends on the maturity of your cybersecurity program or your IT processes. Organizations are different, okay, and of course, organizations are a kind of a representative of those who are managing it, okay. So it depends on the maturity of your cybersecurity program. Okay, the maturity will determine a lot of things in terms of, your processes, your policies, how mature they are, how detailed, your processes are, and most importantly, are you actually complying? Because, like we've always said, it's easy to have, you know, a, a it's easy to come up with policies and programs, and all that, but are you actually, walking the walk? Are you actually complying? Okay, are you conducting your risk assessment? Are you aware of your risks? Okay, and are you reporting them? Is management signing off on this risk? And are the controls being proposed? Okay, are they actually being implemented? And when they are not implemented, okay, have they been highlighted, to management or to the board, that okay, we have this risk, management has made this decision, and then okay, we are going to live with this risk, and then this is the position of things. So these are the issues. Thank you, Jimmy.
Okay, so in the absence of any other question, I would say thank you very much to Sheung. I know you are still in the recovery mode, so thank you for taking your time out to commit to seeing this session happen and still promising to complete the rest. Again, it's all about your commitment, which has not in any way wavered. So I really thank you. I know that you and I still have a catch-up meeting, but I will let you rest a little bit. Then you
bring it on, bring it on, bring it on.
Okay, all right. I know we just for the benefit of the members, Sean and I were discussing how to formalize our offerings in terms of cybersecurity, what we can provide and effectively implement so that everyone and those people that we know are serious about their career can benefit from it. So that is one. I also have some updates from CSEC, our partner. We've had a meeting this week, and they are going to go back to tell us about the sponsorship they can give us, if they can give us this year, or it's going to be in the new year. And as well as their membership, they have a number of membership options that we can also apply or tap into. And lastly, for CSEC, we have 4 more seats yet to be given out. I know one person has reached out to me. If you know and you are confident that you're going to go for that CSEC conference in Manchester, it's coming up in November, please drop your details on the group. You know you're going to go because we have very limited tickets, and we don't want to give the tickets to people that will not show up. So only 5 is given to us. I have taken one other person have taken one. So that means we have only 3 more to give out. And finally, for those of you that were in here when we started the conversation, this discussion tonight, Black and Scott has been nominated as a finalist for the Scottish Cybersecurity Award. Bless you. It means a lot to us, even though we know what we are doing. What we are doing is impacting the life of some people, but we absolutely have no idea it's going to go all the way to the Scottish Cyber team. So please keep wishing us the best and praying for us. Actually, it was 2 awards, one for the organization, one for me. But to be honest, I would take it for the organization than who am I when my organ like Sheung is there. So a win for Black and Scott is a win for everyone. I will let you guys know how it goes, but just to let you know that we've been recognized, we've been, noticed. The government knows that we're doing something in our little corner. And I want to say thank you all for all your commitment and your steadfastness. So that's it from me. It's a weekend. I wish you all an amazing weekend. And please keep the group very active. We created that group for you. If you have any questions, please let us know. Otherwise, we will see you next Friday. Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have a lovely weekend.
Have a lovely weekend. Thank
Bye.
you. Really, okay. Have a good evening, all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Timmy. Thank you, Mr. Shell. Thank you.
Oh, you're so kind. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for everything. But last, I want to ask, are there requirements for the CSEC program? Do we have requirements? What's the things needed for whoever wants to attend?
You mean the conference?
Yes, you said it's in Manchester, right?
In Manchester, yes. Well, you just have to be a member of Black and Scots, to be honest. And I'll just, if you're absolutely sure you're going to go, I'll just send your details, your name, first name, email address. I'll send the first and last name and email address. I know that those are your personal information, but they need that information to issue out the ticket. And I'll just forward it to them and I'll send the tickets across to us.
Okay, okay. Okay, I will shut you up on that then.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
And you too.
Thank you.
Have a blessed weekend, sis.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks, Desi. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. See ya. Have a good evening, everyone.